Thanks for tuning in to Know Wine in No Time. I'm your host Dave, and today we're going to take you to the other Down Under. No, not Australia, but its neighbor to the east, and that's the country of New Zealand. So New Zealand is situated in the southern hemisphere, in between the Tasman Sea and the Pacific Ocean. New Zealand is a land of great geographic diversity. It has really rugged mountain peaks and lush greenery, and it has been the backdrop for many movies, including Lord of the Rings. When we look at New Zealand, it's made up of two islands. The island in the north was creatively named the North Island, and the island in the south was creatively named the South Island. Now, New Zealand is a relative newcomer to the wine world, first cultivating grapes in 1819. But it wasn't until the 20th century when New Zealand wine started to get some momentum, and today they rank number 18 in the world as far as wine production. The most widely planted grape varietal in New Zealand is one called Sauvignon Blanc, and probably the most important. The second most widely planted varietal in New Zealand is Pinot Noir. Now, when we look at New Zealand as a whole, and we start to look at the terroir that's specific to that area, New Zealand's famous for well-draining soils, for abundant rainfall, and cooler temperatures. So their wines tend to take on a slightly different expression. Let's go back to those two most important grapes. Sauvignon Blanc, for example. When we look at prototypical Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, it takes and turns the volume up on just about everything. When we think about Sauvignon Blanc, we always think fresh cut grass, lemon, grapefruit. Well, a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc has all of those flavors, but with the volume turned up to about 9. Their Pinot Noir is a bit more elegant and a bit more balanced. When we look at a Pinot Noir from New Zealand, we get a core of cherry, which is natural for Pinot Noir, but on the fringes we have things like wonderful tea leaf flavors, a little bit of cola, and a little bit of dusty tannins. Really quite nice and quite elegant. So when we look at Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir, and we focus that on the South Island, we think of really important appellations like Marlborough and Otago. Those are in the South Island, and pretty much the entire South Island is dedicated to either Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Noir. When we get to the North Island, it's a little bit warmer. Remember, Southern Hemisphere, north is warmer, south is cooler. The North Island is a bit more diverse when it comes to viticulture. While Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir are still extremely important on the North Island, if we go to places like Hawke's Bay, which has a little bit of a warming influence in it, we can grow things like Syrah, Merlot, and also Chardonnay in those type of areas. So, let's focus on one of New Zealand's signature grapes and see exactly how it does in a taste test. So today, we're going to talk about this particular wine, and this comes from the Marlborough section, the northern part of the southern island, and the name of this wine is called Huru. Now, Huru has kind of an interesting story. I don't know if you can see, but there's a feather on the label. Huru in the native dialect means feather. So the native New Zealanders would generally take and choose the very best feathers for their ceremonial outfits. And this particular vintner not only paid homage to that tradition, but also likened that to their wine, where they only chose the best Sauvignon Blanc to go into Huru Sauvignon Blanc. So let's go ahead and take a look at this particular wine. So when we look at the wine, we notice it's clear in its presentation. It is golden yellow to a bit straw in its color. If we swirl it to liberate some of the aromas, we get that typical New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc aroma. A little bit of fresh cut grass, a little bit of lemon, and certainly the grapefruit is crawling up through all of those aromas. Now let's go ahead and give it a sip. This Huru Sauvignon Blanc enters the front side of the palate with a little bit of peach and apricot flavors. Then mid-palate it really starts to feel the acidity, and that quickly turns to, let's say, lemon zest and a little bit of grapefruit flavors. And all along you're getting what's coming up the backside of the palate is that fresh cut grass type of aromas and flavors. Really a solid choice. So what would we pair a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc with? Well, it's perfectly paired with white fishes of all types and also seafood. So think scallops, shrimp, things of that nature. Anything that we would want to take and squeeze a little bit of lemon on, this particular wine complements that perfectly. So I'm going to enjoy a little bit more Huru. That's all the time we have for today, so please tune in next time, and soon you'll know wine in no time.